Isn't a restaurant 100 hours on and 2 hours off?
Sure is.
I am 450K in here.
550K.
Oh, 550K.
Where's Michael Jordan?
Yo, please, cousin, I'm not like this because I'm in Van Halen. I'm in Van Halen because I'm like this.
Welcome to the Bear Brigade, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I'm Magnum and I'm here with the Soupdeucer to talk about Season 2 of The Bear from FX and Hulu. Soup, I am having right now currently a just very cold can of Coors Light. I got to keep it fresh, and I also need the screw top just in case things go down in the kitchen, because sometimes in the kitchen, man, shit goes down and you better be ready. Right, Soup?
That is absolutely 100% true, man. Shit does go down. And it's also very hot in the kitchen, man. I thought about cracking into a bottle of red tonight, man, but I was like, do I want wine? It is about 90 fucking degrees at night right now, so I'm keeping it cool here, and I'm just going with some nice cold beer as well. PBR is the drink of choice tonight, smooth drinker, and it'll be a good one to sit and have a couple of these and talk about episodes 4 and 5 of The Bear. Let's do it, man.
Nice. And cold PBR sounds like a go-to for like the hardworking people of a kitchen or something like that. That seems,
It
seems it's either like bottles of Corona or cans of PBR or something like that. I don't know why.
Yeah, PBR is a very popular one around here, man. I guess because, it's hot and shit, and it's a good, easy fucking drinker, man, so.
I've been to hipster parties, but that's the only like regular beer you can get or whatever. So shout out regular beers and alcohols. I do enjoy those. That, regular one human alcohol. That's kind of my deal. Much like Jackie Daytona.
Regular dudes.
Same. And speaking of that, thank you for checking out the Bear Brigade, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find us on YouTube and wherever you get your pods. We're also on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. We might even be doing a Threads thing now. I don't know. Check it out. See if we are. Who knows? And please don't forget the flaps. They're very important. More so on a plane than if you're sleeping in a boat. But either way, not something you want to forget. Follow, like, and please subscribe. Helps other people find our show, find our channel. We greatly appreciate it. So if you had fun, even if it's off doing a thing in Europe, in Copenhagen, what have you, give us a thumb. That's all we ask. Appreciate it very much. And for the record, I'm going to basically be the straight man, the more of a pure host here, because I am just a regular dude, while Soup is a guy who is, kind of our inside man, so to speak. He's a veteran of many kitchens. So, Soup, tell us what we're talking about today.
We're here to talk about episode 4 right now, titled Honeydew of season 2 of The Bear, man. We're going to talk about this show. We're going to spoil shit about this episode and probably every other episode that comes into play. So you've been warned.
As the Soup said, this is season 2, episode 4 of The Bear, the 12th overall episode of the show, titled Honeydew. Released on June 22nd, 2023, along with the rest of season 2. Directed by Remy Youssef. This is the first episode of The Bear that he has directed. Written by Stacey Osai Kufor. This is her first written by credit on The Bear. Guest starring Will Poulter as Chef Luca, Alex Moffat as Josh, Carmen Christopher as Chester, Corey Hendricks as Gary, Jose Cervantes Jr. as Angel, and Richard Esteras as Manny. The short plot summary of the episode is: now only 7 weeks from their scheduled opening night, Natalie tells Carm and everybody else that she is pregnant. Richie, Fack, and the rest of the crew are continuing the construction efforts, while Sydney begins interviewing prospective new employees. Marcus travels to Copenhagen to help him develop 3 unique desserts for the Bear. There, he learns from Luca, a skilled pastry chef, and the two quickly form a bond. Marcus enjoys his time in Copenhagen, and he even saves a man who was trapped after a bicycle crash. Soup, we've kind of alluded to this in our kind of season overview here. This is the big Marcus episode. What did you think of Honeydew?
I really enjoyed this episode, man. I think right from jump where it Holiday Road came in, dude, and it was an extended. It wasn't just like a little piece. It was like an extended bit of that. It wasn't too long, but long enough to kind of give you a feel of what's going on. And I like that. I like it that it shows a bit of culture and everything else in that scene right there, which is kind of cool because they did it all visually pretty
Color
much.
palette's all different than the normal Bear shit. Like it just pops,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I definitely thought that was very cool, showing the visual, just cultural aspects of it, as far as just the scenery and the various, little things, man, little things. We'll go over some more of those in detail, I'm sure, but kind of a slower episode, but very interesting. Yeah, without getting too far ahead of myself here, the overall I thought it was a good fucking episode, man.
Perfect. I did too. And I think Marcus was a character that I was looking forward to learning more about. Not even just because we had he got the opening scene of the season where he's
Right.
with his mom, but last year when he just got sucked into the donuts, right? Because I have that kind of personality. And like if I learn something, I get into something, I go deep and I go hard. And at one point, like he's sleeping at the restaurant just to try to like keep working on his craft and everything. People are giving him
Right.
books and he's just burning through them and everything. So I kind of like that obsessive personality trait, but he plays it well, right? Like a lot of
Oh,
times they
absolutely,
like
yeah.
to play those guys as kind of like eccentric, maybe at best, or kind of like
Committed.
problematic geniuses. You know what I mean? But they actually play him as like a cool dude who's just really into this thing.
He
Like
is.
he's very
one of my
wholesome,
favorite
right? He's
characters.
very wholesome, dude. He might be the most wholesome person on the show, almost.
You're probably right about that. He is definitely one of my favorite characters, and he's into his shit, man, and that's important, you know. As we saw in season one, it kind of took away from the task at hand, and you can't have that happen. But yeah, you have to find a balance, and I think I think he finds his fucking balance.
He really does, and he comes back. I mean, with the three fire desserts, from what we know, right? I think we see him get to make the one at the end of the episode. I think that's his first one, right? Kind of when he's if you're watching on YouTube, that's part of the scene that we see behind Soup. There is that pineapple or something. Was he even? Did you figure out exactly what he was doing with that one, or was he just recreating the dessert we first saw the other chef making at the beginning when he was learning?
I think he was doing a bit of both. I think he was recreating that and trying to put his own twist on
Look
it.
like a spin on it, right? Like use that as a basis,
Which is what
kind of
you're
in like,
supposed to
yeah.
do.
Well, that's I mean, well, that's what everyone does, right? There's only like
Yeah.
it's like writing. There's like 6 story structures. There's only the music. There's only so many chords, then it becomes chord progression. That's how it
Yeah,
works. Man.
it's putting your own stamp on it, pretty much.
Yeah, more or less, it's like there's 26 different letters, and you try to arrange them into certain orders, and then space them out in different ways or what have you. It's about all you can do. And we really enjoy all of the music on the Bear. There are not a ton of needle drops in Honeydew, at least not as many in like a typical episode of the Bear. But they also kind of went a little bit more mainstream here, especially I think with The Holiday Road by Lindsey Buckingham, but also I've Been Loving You Too Long by Otis Redding. We've heard that one a few times as well. So you alluded to it already in your overall thoughts here, and I agree with you completely. I think this was a very good use of Holiday Road. I mean, it really set the tone, and I didn't mind the fact that I'll still always associate that with National Lampoon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Aside from immediately, taking you to one of the vacation movies, I think it was well used. I mean, that I'm not going to lie, that was in the back of my mind too. I'm seeing Chevy Chase in there somewhere. We didn't get his cameo, but that would have been cool.
That would have been wild, even if he's just a customer at the other restaurant or something like that, or like even some bike dude. That would have been crazy.
Oh right, yeah.
Like no worries, he doesn't even talk or anything. That would have been a pretty cool cameo.
Right. But aside from that, I think it was a great choice, and it was well designed.
Yeah, kind of like a little bit of a quiet episode, but that makes sense because they're kind of all working and everything like that. And it seems like that kind of environment where they're probably not bumping the tunes or anything.
Yeah, now some kitchens
Maybe a little like background music, but not.
Yeah.
I don't think that's people getting turns playing their Spotify list or something like that in there. And speaking of that, we spent a lot of time in that kitchen in Copenhagen with Chef Luca in Soup. I know you're not a pastry chef by trade, or maybe even maybe you dabble at best, but what did you think kind of Marcus's European vacation from a food standpoint here? And don't forget the hot dog.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fucking brilliant, dude. And no, I'm not much of a pastry chef at all. That's one area of my
skill set you haven't rounded
like
yet.
Yeah, I'd really like to kind of punch that up a little bit. So this episode gave me a little bit more inspiration to try and want to like maybe get into more desserts and whatnot. I've got a couple that are really good, but yeah, doing some more would definitely always be cool. I really appreciated some of the intricacies and techniques that they went over in this episode, particularly that spooning technique.
Yeah, the spooning was great, like the back and forth, right, or whatever. It seemed real though.
Yeah, it is, and it's way more difficult than it looks. That's hard to do because like you don't like I forget what it is they're doing it with there, but even for things like compound butters, whatnot, or different kinds of cheeses, or whatever mascarpone or something like that, you could do it with. But to get that shape, is definitely going to take some. You're not going to nail it right away. You know, it takes some practice to do that. You can do it with 2 spoons also, which is a different method of trying to make that happen. And just as long as you get that end result, then that's what you're looking for. But yeah, definitely. Certainly
Even
not.
the tweezer thing we first saw was kind of like, I definitely have shaky hands. I would struggle with that. Like I'd be in there like trying to brace my other. Like
Yeah,
that seems very, kind of touch and go kind of. Right?
it
It's
is.
like a soldering
It's not.
almost.
It's playing operation sometimes when you're trying to do shit like that. You know.
Nice comparison, dude. It looked like playing operation kind of almost, except like, real like a in biology class operation or something.
Yeah, because once you set something like that, you don't want it to move no matter what, you know. So if you're like tweezing herbs on something, even you kind of want them to stay there, even though they're loosely placed. Like this, whatever they were doing was kind of like, I want to say wedged in and braced a little bit, which would give it less chance to be able to move around. But either way, you want whatever it is, because if you're gonna take the time to fucking put something on with tweezers, you want it to stay the fuck put. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's definitely a lot of kind of small steps they take here. I thought the whole making ice cream thing was pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
You see him kind of do all that from scratch or whatever. And I've never really, I've never made ice cream really. Or if I made a snow cone before. A snow cone machine. It was basically crushed ice cubes. That was cool.
Yeah, there's so much that goes to desserts where it's just a whole nother world of really, really cool shit, So yeah, I'm glad this episode happened, just because
It seemed fairly realistic from, we saw mix of eggs, that kind of thing, but it seemed like that's like the process you would go through to make what they made, more or less.
Yeah, without going into too much detail, they did show a lot of really cool, like I said, techniques and whatnot. But yeah, as far as processes like that go, I mean, you use a lot of fucking eggs, a lot of fucking flour, a lot of shit. Like
very orange eggs. I noticed that. Very orange eggs.
Who knows over there in Copenhagen? They might have those are probably all farm fresh eggs.
I was gonna say, super pure or whatever. That's actually what like the real like the good stuff looks like. And before we move on, just thoughts on the hot dog, dude. I thought I was like, that's like it looked like almost at least a foot long with pickles, maybe like pickles probably.
Here's my deal with the hot dog and why I think why this was.
Were they trying to make an American style hot dog, or is that like Copenhagen style? Here's
what I'm thinking. I think it was Copenhagen style hot dog or whatever it was. But I think Marcus was drawn to that, and that happened in that scene with the hot dog because it kind of gave him a sense of home. And here's why: not only is a hot dog an American food, pretty much, but the Midwest hot dog, the Chicago dog, is a dog that's famous. That's kind of a famous hot dog, but it's got tomatoes and pickles and shit on it, So that hot dog with the pickles and stuff on it, I think gave Marcus a sense of home and Chicagoland kind of hot dog feel, maybe being that he's half a world away, So I think that was kind of a little bit of a relation there, unspoken, but I think was there. Yeah.
It looked fine, right? I mean, whether or not they were doing an American thing or he just got it, like you get that people who are, they go to another foreign country for vacation. Eventually they're like, you know what? Let's just go to McDonald's for lunch or something, or Taco Bell, because they all exist.
You see him
different
around
stuff.
right.
It's more familiar, I guess. You at least on some level know what you're getting.
Yeah, and I think that was part of it, but you also want to try, like, hey, you're only over there, like, when are you going to come back here? You want to try everything. And I think he kind of did, because you see a couple scenes where he's rolling around trying things, and it's mainly desserts and whatnot, but the hot dog definitely stood out. And I think, like I said, I think it's because it gave him that sense of home or whatever,
So what would you rather do? We saw Sydney's food tour before, and now we get Marcus's kind of dessert tour. Would you rather go on the food tour or the dessert tour?
I personally would rather go on the food tour just because I don't.
I would too, but it seemed like she had to eat a lot more.
She probably did.
Like Sydney ate a lot. I mean, maybe they just didn't show it as much, but yeah, I just generally think eating that many sweets would throw me off. But there are probably some people that would love that, right? Like just a whole sweet.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, me personally, I would rather just do the food. Not much of a dessert guy, making them or eating them.
Because if the food's good, who has room for dessert?
Yeah, that's probably why I don't make a lot of desserts, because I don't really eat desserts.
I don't either. Usually, liquid dessert, if anything.
Yeah,
like a coffee or an alcohol, more or less.
Yeah,
that's kind of my dessert. All right, man. I don't think there's ever been a bad episode of The Bear, but we still try to give a grade to each of them so we can try to evaluate them against each other. On a scale of 0 to 3 stars, we're going Michelin style here. Soup, how many stars are you giving to Honeydew, season 2, episode 4?
This one's pretty high, but I'm not going to call it my favorite. But it's up there, so I want to give it like maybe a 2.6.
2.6. All right, he wants to kind of split the star a little bit. It's funny. I think I'm basically in that same range. I'm just going to go 2.5, a flat 2.5, because I don't think it's the in the kind of maybe the top tier of the season, but I think it's definitely tier 2 at the worst. Really enjoyed this one overall. And I'm a big fan of Marcus, so excited to see what he's going to do, because of everybody else, maybe he was a little bit in the gets a little bit too focused in sometimes to the detriment of the team, but he can definitely do good work.
Yeah. This episode was super important for him. This built his, this definitely built and polished his character to be able to become what Carm wants him to be at the Bear. And I think it was a very important episode. A couple of questions I do have. Super random with the guy on the bike. It never went anywhere after that.
Minor spoiler, but they never paid it off. At least in season 2, as far as we know, never comes up again. I guess maybe that was just to show his good nature.
Yeah, I guess.
Or show maybe how Europe is different, like that life can be different. Like he just helps the guy and he hugs him and he goes on. Like that's it. Or life goes on or something. Maybe there's a metaphor there with his mom and everything like that.
Yeah, and feeding into that scene, because you didn't know what happened. It's like, he's like, oh fuck and shit. Like it seemed like it was something really bad. Turns out, dude's okay and shit. But it just seemed like it didn't really fit. But like, what was the reason for having that scene in there? I mean, it was cool and all. But you're right. Maybe it is just
it has to be thematic or metaphorical for him to at least experience maybe the difference in cultures, or again, just the fact that he's just a selfless dude, right?
Or
just illustrate he would go help a stranger and try, like, despite not speaking the same language or whatever. Some people might worry and look around or something. He doesn't hesitate. He just goes right to help the dude, which is pretty cool. Especially cool. When you find out he was like imagine that Marcus was like an outside linebacker in college. That's kind of wild, right? Can you imagine him being kind of like a fearsome football player? I mean, I can see it. There's some dudes who go on the field and turn it on. He just reminds me, there's a dude like that in the program. I can't remember the linebacker from the program who gets hurt towards the end of the movie. I forget his name, but then I started thinking, I'm like, that reminds me a little bit of Marcus, fan. Like off the field, he's like the nicest dude to get on the field. He's just like a goddamn monster.
Beast mode, yeah, man. There was that, and then like my other question is there a fucking cat? Or what is he feeding? What is he?
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about that in a minute in the spoiler section. But before we get there, we do need to pick our MVP. And this was a very, very tightly focused episode, probably the most tightly focused so far this season. So theoretically, it should be easy to pick an episode MVP, right, Soup? So who you got for Honeydew? Your MVP, Soupdeucer.
Well, a lot of obviously the fucking obvious choice is Marcus, because it's the Marcus episode. I mean, that's the way it's designed. It's supposed to be that, but I want to kind of go a little bit outside the box. And if it's not Marcus, say, episode MVP, not Marcus, I'm going with Chef Luca, man. Will Poulter did a phenomenal job as a, really, I guess, calm and patient, just his demeanor and everything, and his knowledge and the way he portrayed it, and then just leading up to it, and then they finally have that conversation. Just his whole, he only had
it's perfect, right? He's just pitch perfect.
He did a great fucking job. And
but accessible, confident but humble. Just
yeah. And so I'm gonna give the MVP to him, man.
That's awesome, because then I can just give it to Marcus and we can split the baby, because I think those are the clear top two. So we want to represent them both. And obviously, Marcus killed it. And again, pretty tightly focused episode. Not that many options, but I think it is worth noting that the Will Poulter appearance has really gone overwhelmed the fandom. A lot of people are calling for him to maybe get a spinoff or something like that. And I have to say, I'd at least be minorly interested based on what we saw of his character. There seems like there's some backstory there. Stuff
I
like
wouldn't
that,
mind seeing him again. And apparently him and Carm have worked together in the past, and I'm pretty sure that he is the when he tells the story about how he was like the biggest, baddest chef out there, and then somebody came along and just knocked his dick right in the dirt. And I'm pretty sure that was Carm.
That's a perfect segue, because this is the point where we're going to kind of dig a little bit deeper here to finish out. So this could involve some spoilers for episodes from the rest of season 2. So if you haven't seen past this episode yet, past season 4, no problem. Just look wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, in the comments and in the details down there, the episode details. There should be some timestamps. You just want to click the one to start episode 5 so you can skip ahead. Thank you very much, and watch the rest of the season. It's awesome. For everybody else, this is it. This is kind of the final warning here. We're going to be talking about how this episode works out, vis-a-vis the rest of the episodes in season 2. And Soup, you were kind of talking about the idea that it might be Carm, and I'm pretty sure it is based on In Fishes. He talks about when he goes to Copenhagen, he has to live on a boat and feed an invisible cat.
Right.
So that's obvious. That feels like he did the Marcus thing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't solely for pastry stuff or something, but he did that basically. He probably lived in that boat and fed that cat, right? That's how I took it after seeing Fishes.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I want to say that the same thing with, if we go into Forks, I mean, that's a restaurant Carm worked out as well. So he went through this kind of similar things. That's why he sent these people there. That's why he sent Marcus. That's why he sent Richie there, because he had already done this. And he's like, this is going to be good for you. You do this,
It actually speaks well to Carm that he could kind of have these, it can be cutthroat in this business, right? I'm assuming. So people could like view you as rivals. And it's kind of cool that Carm seems to like not burn bridges, right? Like people actually like, it seems everyone he's worked with really genuinely likes and respects him.
No, and reputation is very important, as in any business, but yes, in this one as well. And
it seems very insular. I mean, a lot of the people, like, you can't piss too many people off or it'll come back around, right? Because everyone works with everyone eventually.
Yeah.
Or at least, within a certain market or area or what have you. Kind of like, Hollywood or something like that, to a certain extent. We don't get a lot from all the other characters, but the bit where Sugar tries to tell Carm that she's pregnant and then the wall falls down and everything, I thought was really great.
I really don't want Richie to know.
Okay.
Because somehow it feels more in my control to decide when and who I'm pregnant.
Congratulations! I fucking knew it!
We didn't really mention that anywhere else because that's not really a focus of the episode. And we also see that the gas line gets brought up here, where they ask Marcus, like, anytime, when's the last time someone tested the fire suppression system? And he's like, I don't know, man, never.
Right. Yeah. Not a shocker that was the answer, given the nature of the way the restaurant was. But I do think the pregnancy reveal did seem a little bit staged, so it was kind of like, as the conversation was going on, it was dragged a little bit, and then all of a sudden, the wall falls and she says it and everybody notices, but it felt like maybe it wasn't hidden as much as it should have been for the way to portray it, because I almost kind of saw it coming like a split second before it happened.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great. Again, we kind of get a couple other things set up. Like, we already kind of knew about Marcus's mom and her nurse, but we get to meet the nurse here. And Sydney has the Coach K book. And she keeps getting annoyed because everyone else knows her. Even these people work in kitchens that don't know sports. They're like, oh yeah, the Duke guy. Like, you know that, right? Like, you're not a college basketball guy, but you know that. And she's like trying to watch games on her phone or whatever. It's cool.
Yeah, I love that she's reading that book, even though she's not reading it for the basketball aspect of it.
Right, she's for the leadership aspects.
Right, yes, and just the whole, like, I guess that motivation or ambition or that train of thought to be able to, control something like that or manage something like that. And that's probably a really good fucking play. So I like it. You gotta take inspiration from wherever it comes, man.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. And just a couple of minor notes towards the beginning, kind of like there's a little bit of opening montage at the restaurant, and you see now like the notes on the board are getting less optimistic. Like you see fuck my life to death, and this is starting to suck again. So they're just kind of setting the tone. In a beautiful little touch is like towards the beginning of the episode, Marcus doesn't know what dextrose is, and at the end of the episode he gets like 30 pounds of it or something.
Yeah, I like
that whole cycle, like going from like not knowing to be like, oh yeah, now I need, not only do I know what it is, now I need like all of it.
Yeah, little things like that. I can't think of another one in particular, but there's been several of those that have come around in the season thus far, and or in the show thus far. But yeah, little things like that are definitely very cool to be like, oh yeah, see, there's yeah, man. I may have mentioned this before at some random time or whatever, but every restaurant has these expo boards. You always write, you got one for like prep, or you got one for this or that. It's how we kind of communicate or keep things in our brain. The fucking expo boards. But I think it's hilarious that this one kind of stays true, because you will get shit like weird random quotes, like, you will get fuck my life on there. There's usually a fucking picture of a dick and balls that somebody drew on there, like different every day. Or you walk in the morning and there's, somebody's asshole or something, who knows what's going to write, people write weird shit on there. I love that, because it's part of like the little things like that just keep us interested, because this is like what we do. We spend so much time there. So to walk in the morning and see, a different dick and balls on the expo board, it might make your day. or it might not.
It's basically the restaurant version of like what corporate dudes do with like the forwarding emails to each other or the random whatnot or what have you.
Yeah. TPS reports, man. But just don't use a fucking Sharpie, man.
Yeah, that's on a whiteboard. That's a dick move, dude. Heavy dick move there. And I guess the only thing we didn't mention is when they were making that dessert, they tasted it, and Marcus, it was like a minty Snickers bar. Do you have any idea what that was? Was that thing that we see later on, or was that a different thing?
No, it isn't. I remember looking back and being like, and thinking that would be one of the ones he took with him, was one of those that weird, it tastes like a minty Snickers bar thing. And it was that layered, multicolored, whatever the fuck.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's maybe what I thought it was. I know what
and I thought it would be when he was unveiling his 3. I thought that would definitely be one of them, but it wasn't. So if I were him, I would definitely hold that in the bank and run it as a special, at least sometimes, even if it's not on the menu.
I'm not a huge like Snickers guy, but that at least sounds intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, a lot of people are, I mean,
especially if you saw like that, it looks like a 3 Jello kind of thing, right? Or something. If you're like,
right,
this tastes like a minty Snickers, I'd be like, all right, well, if I'm not having to pay for it, I'd at least maybe call you out and try it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And desserts on that kind of level anyway, I'm pretty sure anything will be fucking good. So you almost have to just pick one and go with it,
Yeah, that's a whole just trust the chef at that point, right? If you paid enough to go there, then just probably listen to people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's generally a good life lesson. Just try to trust the people who know what they're doing, because they know what they're doing for a reason.
Right.
They're not going to be terrible.
Don't order the steak béarnaise don't order the fucking steak béarnaise and then ask for a bottle of ketchup.
Yeah, or ask you to make the béarnaise sauce without butter.
It's impossible. You can't.
Hence the ask, dude. Hence the ask. I think that's going to bring us into episode 5. Once again, we'll be spoiling all episodes of The Bear through season 2, episode 5. As we get towards the end, we'll be spoiling the rest of season 2, let you know when we get there. Otherwise, this is it. We're flowing right into 5. And this is season 2, episode 5 of The Bear, the 13th overall episode of the show, titled Pop. Originally released June 22nd, 2023, along with the rest of season 2. This is directed by Joanna Callow. This is the 5th episode of The Bear that she's directed. Written by Sophia Levitsky-Weiss. This is her second written by credit on The Bear. Guest starring Oliver Platt as Uncle Jimmy, Edwin Lee Gibson as Ebrahim, Molly Gordon as Claire, and Corey Hendricks as Gary. The episode plot summary is: it's 6 weeks until opening night. While Carm spends more time with Claire, Sydney turns to Tina for help developing the menu. Tina has been thriving in culinary school, but Ember stopped attending, which concerns her. Natalie sweet talks Uncle Jimmy into helping her speed up the permit applications process. Carm invites Claire to come with him to drop off a liquor license application, and they bond on the road trip. Claire talks Carm into attending a party with her. He doesn't really care about the party, but he realizes that Claire might be the fun that he's been searching for. After the party, Carm takes Claire to see the restaurant, and they walk in on an argument about Richie stealing electricity from a neighboring building. After the restaurant clears out, Carm and Claire kiss for the first time. Soup, what kind of overall thoughts on this one, man? Did pop for you?
It was a good episode. I think it was more of a transitional episode. And it was definitely leaning into a little bit more of the Carm and Claire situation, which we'll get into a little bit later as well. Was it an episode that totally popped? I don't know. I think it was more one of those like right in the middle kind of episodes that just needs to tie a few things together and lay some groundwork for future shit to happen.
Yeah, I think this one was maybe just a little bit of victim of the placement. Again, we're not going to spoil anything super past here, but this kind of falls, after the Marcus episode and then before a bunch of very, very good episodes. Not spoiling anything to just say that, 6 especially is a banger, so maybe it gets overlooked a little bit. Nothing wrong with it, but I think you're right. And, for the most part, it's a chess piece moving episode. You're trying to kind of introduce everything you need to introduce, get everything all lined up for what's going to happen next. And I think it does, do a good job of that. You might have felt like you were getting sidetracked with the Carm and Claire stuff, but I thought it was at least interesting to try to develop Carm a little bit outside of the restaurant, right? Like he has to have some kind of other life where it becomes a little bit like uninteresting, right? Like there has to be some kind of compelling force. You just have to do it correctly.
Yeah, I get that, and I don't know that this was. See, I was worried about this going into the season, like that because we knew there was going to be the introduction of this character. Obviously, or from what I thought before knowing anything, that it was pretty obvious that it was going to be a love interest of sorts. So getting into now we're knee deep here, and we've already had a few interactions between the two of them. We know there's something brewing there. So. It does lean into that a lot this episode. I was worried about it taking away from the episode, just like Uncle Jimmy was concerned, as we'll find out later on about the two of them being together, just because got to focus on the task at hand here, and something like that will take away from that, whether it's in the restaurant world or in just like the integrity of the show, or what because
opening a business in general, like, and then especially opening a restaurant, and it's not even
we're watching the show for what the show is. Do we need that on the side? Maybe I get it, there's got to be some dramatization, or whatever, but again, I don't want to get too far ahead with how this plays out or whatever, but I do think that this particular episode spent a lot of time on that.
Right. I guess it's just the basic change I would say from season one a little bit is, whereas in season one, maybe the conflict was more with Natalie, with Sugar, like a family-based conflict. Here it becomes more like, relationship-based, like romantically based or what have you. So that's a little bit of a tricky thing to, because him and now, Natalie seem to, be getting along a lot better than they did in season one, for what it's worth.
Right, and the thing is, everybody seems to like Claire a lot.
Everyone loves her, actually.
Right. So you it gives you the sense of, okay, maybe this could be okay, could be a good thing. And I could see it working out, but again, it's a tough fucking spot for something like this to happen because of taking away from the, I don't want to say more important, but what you're already doing. And this is something that could easily take away from something big that you're in the middle of trying to do, so.
Right. This is definitely a case of where, like, I'm trying to without like spoilers for Breaking Bad, but there have been shows where like people want a character to do a certain thing, and then there's a character that's perceived to be holding them back from doing the thing that everyone in the audience wants them to do. So fairly or not, that character kind of takes the heat for it. So I could kind of see maybe a little bit of that aspect coming into play here. Nothing crazy but maybe something in that universe.
And she, she's actually seems like a person that would be okay for Carm, because it doesn't seem like she's really trying to take him away, like not on purpose anyway, at least not at this point. Or, who knows, but
no, she seems to be one of the few people that has a career crazy enough to maybe accept what he does.
Be able to understand it, yes. And
would they ever see each other based on their hours? I mean,
it'd be tough,
who knows? That would be a thing, but they might actually be able to relate to each other on a level where 97% of the rest of the population couldn't even fathom that kind of lifestyle.
Exactly, man. And being that they
because I've talked to him in the car, right, about the what is it, like 100 hours on, 2 hours off, that kind of thing. Like,
Is in a restaurant 100 hours on and 2 hours off?
Sure is.
Is in a restaurant gnarly and gross?
Sure is, yeah.
You must really love it.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I can see the similarities. Totally different, but very similar in certain regards. So yeah, they might have, they'll have an understanding for each other, and yeah, they might not get to see each other as much, but that might almost be a fucking good thing. Sometimes
it can actually be healthy for them, and that maybe they can help them kind of like compartmentalize, right? Like they have the home life together, and then they do their crazy work shit or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. Sometimes there's a couple days before I get to have a conversation with my significant other, just because of our fucking schedules.
And you leave notes on the board for each other, whatever, basically.
I need a new fucking expo in there, actually, man.
You're going back to the college shit with the whiteboard on the door. I like that. No, I really, definitely did enjoy it. I really don't think there's ever been a bad episode of The Bear. I like Claire. While I didn't love the relationship thing and like kind of the time they spent on it, maybe I would have liked them to spend the time somewhere else more. I actually like Claire. I don't think she had like anything evil going on. I thought she genuinely liked Carm, and she seemed like a pretty good person.
Yeah, I agree with
that. You know
what
I mean? It almost made me mad to I didn't, again, so I didn't dislike her. It was just, it's kind of like, all right, what is everyone else doing? What's going on at the restaurant? That's all.
Yeah.
It's not her fault that they built this interesting world and all these other interesting characters. Okay. And Karen was previously a guy who, despite apparently having money, kept his jeans in the oven. Like
Yeah,
maybe that'll
I
have to
like
be explained someday. I've heard of people putting jeans in the oven to get them warm or something, but not
for
actually
to dry.
throwing them in there.
Jeans take forever to dry, you know. So, but I wouldn't stack them like that if I were drying
No,
them.
he was usually in his
They're all folded and shit. Yeah.
I think that that's what we call it, but I think that was probably just to illustrate like this is how little dude cooks at home.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
right.
he's just giving
That's
up
a
on like he's
common-
never gonna
that's-
cook at home in that oven, so he just puts it in there because who cares?
Dude, I hear that kind of shit all the time. Like, because we'll get, oh, you probably cook at home all this crazy awesome shit. And I'm like, no, I don't. I do it here. Like, rarely do I cook at home anything good. Like,
All right, best case scenario, if that should've worked, bring it home.
Yeah. It's not like I don't really have time home. And if I do, it's like, once in a while, a day off, I'll be like, you know what, I think I'll cook something, but then I get to cook different shit because then it'll be like, oh man, I can fire up the barbecues and shit like that, Yeah, it's not too often where I cook like a nice like dinner, like restaurant meal at the house. Like I said, once in a while, if I have a day off and I feel like doing it, I will. But if not, I usually try and keep it pretty easy because I know that's what I'm going to be doing for the next whole bunch of days anyway. So.
Nice, and I like how it was semi-Canadian of you to refer to the grills as like the barbecues. That's what they call it in the Canadian style, like Trailer Park Boys, right? They call a grill a barbecue.
Fucking barbecues, man.
You know what I mean? So you cook thing on the barbecue, like it's a barbecue, like you're at a barbecue, but you cook on the barbecue. I guess that's how it works.
Yeah.
It's a double. Is that a double negative? I don't really know.
Throwing shrimps on the Barbie, dude. It's Australian.
Yeah,
Austrian, huh?
Austrian for beer, dude. That's a little Paul Hogan in there, dude. There's a crocodile. I think say Crocodile Hunter, Crocodile Dundee, Nick Dundee, dude. Is he shrimp on the Barbie? He's shrimp on the Barbie, right? Nick Dundee.
Dundee, dude.
Yeah, he's got a knife, dude.
That's not a knife.
He's got a knife. Adam Sandler's got a snake. And we've got to talk about the use of music in this episode. This is one of the first times that we had a call back to a song from earlier in the season. And we also get two songs from the same artist. We have Bastards of the Young by the Replacements, Total Control by the Motels, Pretty in Pink by the Psychedelic Furs, Strange Currencies by REM, and Can't Hardly Wait by the Replacements. What do you think about this one, man? We get two tracks from the Replacements and Strange Currencies, which we hear for the second time this season. And obviously the show loves their REM, but I don't really know the Replacements like that.
I don't either. I do remember them being, relative.
I don't love them, but I don't really know.
Like the early '90s or whatever, and that's cool, dude. I like the genres they pick, and I like the song selections. I enjoyed.
I've heard the psychedelic pink. I've heard Pretty in Pink before. The psychedelic furs, right? I know I've heard that before.
I just think the way they place this music, and I like that they don't use all the super commercialized shit. Even with REM, the choice of bringing Strange Currencies back twice was I liked it when I heard it pop up again because it was also in the trailer too. So that's fine. It reminds me of how heavy the usage of Elton John was in Californication. It was a very
they keep kind of coming back to. Well, they paid the money for the license, so you got to hammer that shit home.
So yeah, you may as well. I'm gonna get all the miles I can out of this fucking thing, man.
You're not wrong.
But I like that they're keeping it a little bit low key. I think the biggest well-known song out of the entire both seasons so far might be Holiday Road, dude.
It probably is. I mean,
unless you're a fan of one of these bands.
No, actually, it probably has to be in terms of like spins. Well, Super Minor at one point there's a Taylor Swift song, and I don't know how popular that is.
With me, I couldn't name you.
No,
one
but it might have like sold a lot of records. But I mean, Holiday Road's been along for a long time. Like it's been used a lot. Like that has to have. I don't know about single sales.
But I like that they do that. Yeah, I definitely like that they do that. And then there's some bangers later in the season that we'll talk about. But right now, for the vibe of the show, I think it's fucking perfect. Every song they've used so far has been like spot on, man.
All right, dude. And I think that kind of, unless you really want to talk about the snacks at the party that Carm and Claire go to. And, we could talk about him pretending to be somebody else and all that kind of shit. But we get a little bit of kitchen action at the beginning of the episode. That's when Sid and Tina are kind of brainstorming menu ideas, although it seems more like Sid is just coming up with stuff and Tina's trying to deal with it. Any kind of thoughts here, especially as Sid talks about like it being too busy, right? She's trying to do an Elements thing. And it does seem like there's a lot going on, right?
Yeah, way too much. I did enjoy this scene a lot actually, because trying to come up with dishes like this, especially on that level, it's like
They're not all bangers, right? You got to start somewhere. I mean,
it's not always a home run, no matter what it is, but you want it to be, So, but what she's doing right here is she's just trying to do way too fucking much, and sometimes simplicity is or less is more, and then in this case less is definitely more. And shout out to Tina for recognizing that, and Sydney at this point is a little bit erratic, just being like, oh, we're doing this,
well, especially if you're stuck in a rut, right? Shouldn't you go back to basics kind of deal, you think?
Exactly.
Like that's like
yeah,
a generally
take a breath and fucking try and get your foundation down, man, and
right, we saw that early in the season where she tried to make the pasta again, like just to go back to basics, and then she still kind of struggled with that. So it does feel like she is the chef's equivalent of writer's block or something like that a little bit, maybe.
right, which happens, and especially you're trying to create a new menu for a new restaurant on that level. It's a lot, and I get it where she's trying to do a lot to be like, we got to fire off every fucking skill we have, but it doesn't all need to be on one dish, so that's why a lot of times these dishes in these upper end places are not, you don't get it overcrowded. There's a lot of empty plate space, there's a lot of room for design and room for room to breathe, pretty much, man. This isn't a fucking cafeteria. You're not just loading up a plate full of shit. So yeah, you gotta have what's on there has to be fucking perfect, and it's got to be what it is, and you can't overcrowd anything, and
right, you can't cover for it not being good enough by just adding more. Like it's quality over quantity.
Yeah, that a couple separate dishes, I mean, they can all still go together. You can course them out or something if you have to, but or just do side, whatever the fuck. But yeah, I mean, jamming it all in one plate like that, and she got it at the end. But yeah, she definitely trying to do way too much, getting a little overwhelmed, and I get it. We've all been there,
I'll show my age here and just mention back in the day in The Simpsons when Homer first built a website, he basically just went on other websites and stole all of their like kind of gags and then just put them all on his page. So his whole page was just all of this mismatch of like loud, crazy sounds and images. And it was the most annoying thing ever. And he couldn't understand why anybody got it. He's like, it has all the most popular stuff from all the other sites. Why does no one like my site?
Here it is, everybody. The world's greatest website. You'd think all the noises would be annoying, but they're not.
Well, again, I guess she could throw all that crazy shit on one plate and just call it chaos. But
yeah, I mean, chaos.
I don't think it's not going to get you a fucking Michelin star.
No, and I don't even know if it's going to get you a Mario Brothers star, man. Maybe a Fire Flower. I don't know. I think they put those in the bathrooms of Waffle Houses in Florida now, just to be safe. We also see Carm practicing in the kitchen when they're trying to figure out where everything's going to go. They're trying to get down to 5 seconds, I think. They're at like 7. I mean, let's be honest, man. That sounds kind of crazy. Is it really that crucial second to second? I understand you want everything laid out like the most efficient way possible, but that seems a little nuts to me.
I mean, it is, but you got to think, okay, well, it's only 2 seconds, but that 2 seconds over time and time again adds into a lot of time, and then now you're 5 minutes behind, or then you're 10 minutes behind, and so yeah, it is important to be able to take the time to map that out like that, though, is very cool. And I enjoyed that scene a lot, actually, because he didn't even have the equipment in there yet, and he's still trying to be like, trying to.
I enjoy that just from if you get one chance, right? This is like your B rabbit joint. You get one chance to do this right. I mean, I guess maybe you can move some minor stuff around, but especially if you're electric, you're running gas lines, that kind of thing, you're not going to be able to really flop everything easily after that. So you really
and for what they're doing, they're going to be coursing out meals. So everything does have to be really intricately timed like that. This has to be delivered at this point. Then immediately this much time after this comes out. So those, like I said, those 2 seconds, it'll snowball and it'll add up. So yeah, it's important. Either that or you just have to plan on 7. If you're planning for 5 and you get 7, you're going to be fucked. If you're planning for 7 and you make 7, you'll be okay. It's just going to be 7. That's it.
Yeah, you just have to live with it, kind of. I mean, to a certain extent, that's just probably depends on the layout and how much stuff you have and the stations and everything like that, right? I mean, you want so much stuff, eventually it'll take a little bit longer, right? I mean,
yeah, you just got to plan accordingly for everything preceding that,
Yeah, they really are like right on point. I give them a lot of credit, but we're going to find out how much credit we're going to give them because it's time to give a grade to Pop. Soup, we grade each episode of The Bear on a scale of 0 to 3 stars. Michelin style, although we let ourselves, split them in little half skis, third skis, if necessary, maybe. What do you think, man? How many stars are you giving to Pop Season 2, Episode 5?
Not that I disliked this episode, because I didn't, but like I said, I think it was a building block, which is important. All that being said, whatever, I'm giving it an even 2.
Yeah, again, I don't know that I can give any, episode in Season 2 less than 2 stars, because I think it's been a great season, but I think that's fair. It's not quite on the same level as the previous episode, and I'm not going to, stand on the soapbox to kind of split that star into quarters or whatever. I think 2 is fair. I mean, obviously you need a 2-star restaurant, right? I mean, of course you would.
Yeah, of course, dude. If you got a chance to eat at any starred restaurant, do it.
Double thumb, baby. It's a double thumb. Now it's time to pick our episode MVP for Pop Soup. Who you got this time? Not as clear cut as episode 4. Who's your MVP?
No, and some, a lot of it leans towards Carm. I almost wanted to give it to Uncle Jimmy, because he just kind of is under the radar a lot, but he's such an important character, and he really comes through and like kind of waves his dick around, so to speak, in this episode. But after a little bit more consideration, I really gave it to Tina on this one.
Oh, damn it, man. I was going to go with Tina.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It might be a double Tina here.
She found a way to shine, and, a double Tina wouldn't be that bad, I guess. But she's really coming into her character, and I think she showed it a lot in this episode. And, getting Carm's knife, which was the knife from the first episode, as we all know, and pretty sure she was a saboteur on that. But, all this stuff coming back around is oh,
that's cool. It's on the floor, right? When he finds it on the floor and everything. That's a nice callback, dude. Nice callback.
So I think that was important, and it's another important thing in the restaurant world, is being gifted something, especially like that. It means a lot, and it's an honor pretty much to have something like that happen. As we learn later in the season, there's another kind of one of those that happens also. But yeah, it was a big deal, and she's killing it in culinary school, and she's doing a really good job. So I think she's getting my MVP.
You know what? I love that. And now that you freed her up, I was tempted with Uncle Jimmy. You were right, but you know what? Let me just give it to Natalie. Give it to Sugar here, because she sweet talks Uncle Jimmy when it's crucial and kind of everything's in trouble. She, does her little eyes thing, Uncle Jimmy, I can't do it. Can you help me? And he falls for it. He knows he's falling for it. Yeah, she pulls him in anyways. That was crucial. And that kind of helps to get everything back on track, right? Because everything was getting stalled, you're waiting on people, and it just kind of, breaks the log jam or whatever. You don't want to be log jamming. You just want to be bowling. That's, how it works. So I think that's cool. So we're going to shout out for the women here. We got the Tina, and we got the Sugar, the Natalie. Love it.
Yeah, and that was actually, Natalie's situation there, and the way she played, that was super, super important, because getting the ball rolling on that shit, those fuckers don't care. They'll take forever, man.
They'll be making sandwiches, dude.
Yeah, making fucking sandwiches for its whole fucking family over here.
Where'd you get the meat from? I don't know, dude. Maybe Arby's. I mean, I don't know. They're serious about the meat over there.
They say they have the meats. Yeah, man.
That's what I hear, dude.
Another reason why I really love Uncle Jimmy, dude, is because he just points shit like that out, and Oliver Platt just does such a great job in this role, man. Like,
what else, just out of curiosity, what else do you know Oliver Platt for? Because I remember him as the dude with the toothpick in Executive Decision.
Flatliners.
Oh,
with Reaper Sutherland and shit.
Julia Roberts, everything, right?
Yes, yep.
No shit, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, dude.
Yeah, I remember him from that, and I'm almost 100% positive that he was also the food critic in the movie Chef.
Oh, with Favreau, right? That one?
Yeah. And again, another good one, which is why I feel like in real life he's probably a kind of a foodie, which is cool.
Or at least, is into like kind of fucking with it or whatever.
Right. Which is definitely cool, man. But yeah, I mean, he's killing it in this role. So.
Oh, he's so good because they play it so you're not even quite sure exactly who or what he is, right? You don't know why he's uncle. You don't know what he does. That's not even a spoiler.
Now I'm pretty sure he actually is the Cicero character, unless somebody else showed it. Because Richie kind of gave it away, like where he's like, after he left, he's like, "Why is Cicero coming down here telling me we're wasting his money?" And Sugar's like, "Because we are wasting his money." And so I don't know, man. And now maybe it might not be. He still might be like, that's the other guy. What other guy? This other guy. I don't know. But
put it this way: there's not many people or relationships where you could just be like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm 450K into it, and then Sugar's just like, no, 550. But you get like just yada yada 100K. Like you got to be at a pretty high level to yada yada 100K. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, you're in a different tax bracket there, man.
All right. I think this is definitely a fair point to say, like, from here on out, we're going to spoil everything from the rest of the Bear, all released episodes, season 2. If you haven't seen past episode 5 yet, just go ahead, check out on this one. Just check our feed. Next time we're going to be back. We're going to devote a whole episode to covering Fishes. That's season 2, episode 6. It is very awesome. You should check it out, but full-on spoilers for the rest of season 2 on the Bear. From here on out, this is your first and final warning. And not really a spoiler. You talked about the Carl giving Tina one of his knives. Another great Tina moment. Her karaoke, dude.
Yeah.
She's kind of depressed because Ebra quits culinary school, you know what I mean? And then she decides to embrace it instead of like getting down. Because they have a bond, right? She's like, dude, I remember the last time I talked to you when you worked with someone for that long.
Dude, you're right. And I can relate to that too, man. Because you see your people
every day, dude. Like
more than anybody else, like more than your
or
family,
your spouse sometimes.
more than whatever. Yes, 100%. Yeah, so I mean that really becomes like your work family is another family, man. Either way you want to slice it. So these people that you see every day, you go a couple of days without seeing somebody you normally see every day, or at least maybe a day off or something, in between. But you go a couple of days, especially unexpectedly, you're gonna be like, what the fuck, dude? Especially when you're years deep. Like I'm pretty sure they have probably like a 15, 20
30 year. It sounded like 20 or 30.
That's a big deal, man. So yeah, I understand her position there.
Her karaoke was great too.
It was. No, she did good because it started out like I didn't know. Like when the scene first started and she jumped on and started singing, I was like, I don't think this is going to turn out badly because this isn't that kind of comedy show, really. So I figured it'd probably be okay to where it wouldn't be like she bombed and like the people she went with laughed at her and threw shit at her or something. So although that wasn't
the show.
Right. So, but she ended up doing, a stellar job. And the thing is, man, I think it pointed out the fact that she felt that she had passion for that, just like she does with food, and that's important.
Yeah, and you saw it in the first episode when Sid offered her the suit job and she hugs her and everything like that. And she's strong too. So we also know Tina is very strong. She's strong. She can sing. Don't mess with Tina. I think is really she's got a good knife now. Really,
she's a badass.
Don't mess with Tina.
Badass. Yep.
One nice little runner. I think this is the second time we see Uncle Jimmy. He starts trying to tell a story about like failure. And it's the Alex Gonzalez, Steve Bartman story about the Cubs that he gives later in the season. But I think it's cool that we see him kind of get like cut off a couple times before he finally actually gets to finish the story later in the season. And Richie's war dialing joint, do you think that would actually work? Just keep calling somebody until they find the answer. I mean, now you can block them, right? You feel like you can block
it doesn't work. I've tried that before, and it definitely doesn't work.
War dialing is a cool name for it, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
it sounds cooler than it is.
Right. Yeah, I might use that next time I get in a position where I have to do something like that. Hopefully not anytime soon or ever, but you never know.
All right, dude. Carm, he likes these plates. Then he hears they're $55, and he's like, "All right, fuck it, we'll use the shitty ones." Hey, theoretically, just give me just general idea, like what should a restaurant plate cost? Like, I know it could vary entirely, but I don't need no bone china. Like, realistically, if you're serving a lot per day, high volume, what's like the most you would really like pay for a plate?
You don't want to go over $10 probably, man.
Okay, that's kind of what I was looking for. Nice.
So and that's if you're doing like a lot. Now, if you want to bust out, like say you want to get 10 plates of like something that you're going to use for this one specific dish or something, that's when you can kind of splurge on something like that. But there's always things you got to worry about in a restaurant, like even shit like breakage or wear and tear and shit like that. So if you're going to drop a bunch of money on small wares like that, like plating and plates and shit like that, you don't want to go super cheap because you don't want your shit to be ass, but you kind of want to go in the lower middle area, just for, especially if you're going to be doing a bunch of
because people are going to just accidents happen, stuff wears, and then God forbid a customer drops. What are you going to do? Charge $50 for the plate?
Now, I've worked in restaurants before where if you break a plate, you have to fucking pay for it and shit.
In the kitchen or for the customer?
Not the customers, but anybody.
Oh, like as a dishwasher?
anything. Yeah, if you
That, dude, come on,
if you break
dishwashers aren't
something, you're
getting paid
buying.
enough in plates. Dishwashers better be being
And I think
paid
that's
a
a dick move.
lot.
Again, I think that's a dick move on a restaurant owner's
That's like
part.
$25 an hour or something minimum for a
Yeah, 'cause
dishwasher.
there's some
for that.
there's definitely some allotment you have to have for breakage.
Yeah, that's
But-
why. Like, that's going to happen in every industry. I mean, they literally depreciate those. So they're depreciating those plates.
But see, the thing is, it sucks, man. It's sometimes places will implement shit like that, like because you get wait staff or whatever, dishwashers, even anything. It's like, why are we throwing away so much silverware? You ever go through the trash in a restaurant at the end of the night and find like, a dozen forks? That happens, so things like that add up over time, so I can see restaurant owners being like we're going to find a way to fucking prevent shit like this, and they have the silverware magnets and stuff to kind of prevent that for like some of the trash cans. I'm just saying one example here is something like that. And then there's breakage. You'd be a lot more careful if you got charged for a plate you fucking broke. If you're gonna have to pay $10 if you drop this fucking plate, you might not drop it.
Dude, I've never heard of silverware magnets before, but I'm both intrigued and very disappointed that there's not a band named Silverware Magnets.
Yeah, shit, you're right. It's what it is, this thing that goes over your trash can. And it's got
I think I get what it sounds. It just kind of,
Yeah.
Is that basically it? It's just a magnet magnet.
Yeah,
that
so when you
effectively
scrape
turns
off
away
plates
metal
and shit,
silverware.
yeah, and metal silverware.
Would
do
it wouldn't work for fine silver though, right? Would it work for real silver though? Probably not, right?
Probably not.
I don't think silver's magnetic.
Yeah,
So
no.
at a fine restaurant, that would, but I mean, obviously at a fine restaurant, there's no trash cans. Think about that. If you're at a fine restaurant, where do you throw out a dirty napkin? Yeah, you got to keep it in your pocket, bring it to the bathroom, put it on the table. There are no trash cans.
You know what's hilarious is I just watched an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm earlier, or maybe last night, and it was the one with the no trash cans. Like, well, you have a trash can right
that was
now,
unintentional, just for the record. That was completely unintentional.
but it was like an issue. It was one of those Seinfeld issues. Like, you have the trash can, you're not using the trash can. You throw it in the pantry. Well, what's the trash can for? Well, I have it there. I mean,
I've gotten in this with the under the trash can, like in a cupboard kind of deal. Like you can't see it, you don't know where it is.
For show. It's just for show. A trash can for show.
Oh, and there's just again a lot of nice touches here. And shout out to Richie when he's got the line like,
Natalie, I'm not like this because I'm in Van Halen. I am in Van Halen because I'm like this.
is that a reference to something? I feel like that's got to be a reference to like that has to be like one of the Van Halens that have said that or something.
Yeah,
like that,
I was trying to
or
figure
David
that
Lee
out.
Roth or somebody. Like that has to be a quote. Like
I
a
thought
direct
so too,
reference.
man. I did not locate a fucking pinpoint on that or a reference to that, but I definitely thought the same thing, man. I like the quote. I think it could have been you. It's like, because it's like, if you're gonna bust something like that out, maybe that wasn't really the time. It kind of like it was, but I think he could have done it at like maybe something a little bit bigger than that. I don't know, but it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, definitely. Just adding to the kind of season of Richie a little bit, and we get the bit here. This is maybe the one downside about doing fishes. Like at the end of the episode, Sugar's kind of like fed up with Richie. She says he has no useful skills. She tries to palm him off on Sid, and she's like, I don't know what to do with him. So I think that's why kind of ultimately Carm sends Richie to Stodge and Forks and everything. But you forget when you do fishes. So then when you come back for a minute, you're like, wait, why is Richie here again? He threw me off just for a second. That's where maybe, like, for better or worse, I've watched it on Hulu. I don't think the Bear does previously on, right? They just jump you in. I don't think they do previously on.
Because they didn't go. It was all just there. So
I'm not complaining, but a lot of other shows would have fed you that like little bit of remember this real quick before you get in. So
yeah, no, you're right. I didn't notice that before you said something, but yeah, I'm pretty sure
they don't. I don't think they do previously on. I just don't think they do.
Yeah,
and like little notes, like whatever. You at least know Claire isn't working Carm for his money. She drives a BMW, and she doesn't even like driving.
Right.
That's like a nice subtle way to say like it's not a money thing no matter what. Like she's got cash.
Yeah.
So she really is interested in Carm. And Carm mentions the drawing thing again. And we hear in Fishes that he did drawings of Claire and got his balls busted for it. And maybe he stopped drawing kind of because of that, because of her a little. So that's kind of cool. And just Carm drink, dude. I don't think we've ever seen him drink. He gets a bottle of Coke at the party.
Yeah, I don't know that we've seen him drink yet, which is very, very odd for a chef
for someone.
But no,
I don't think he's a teetotaler or anything, but it just seems like he's not a dude who drinks by he just doesn't like drink casually or anything.
Right, and you know, I mean, that's fine. I'm sure there's probably, if that is the case, there's probably a reason. Um,
Might be. Yeah, we don't know about his pops. You know, we hear.
so that might be something that comes into play in the future as well. But yeah, nice point out there, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he just gets a bottle of Coke, and that's kind of funny at the party. That's our only Smashing Pumpkins of the season. At the party, someone singing Tonight in karaoke.
Yeah.
And I just love the bit where Carm, like, he can't really have fun until he decides to pretend to be someone else, because then he's Logan. Like, these other dudes think he's some other dude from high school, and he just pretends to be Logan.
Yeah, I like it. I like that he went with it, though.
Yeah, and it made him seem just, you know, kind of just fun, really, overall. And I love that whole part of it, especially even the bit, like, the guy at the end, like, just keeps setting off fireworks and gets arrested, and they kind of, like, sneak out high school style and everything. Fack attack. Do you think Fack is really Carm's best friend? Maybe. He might be, dude.
You know, here's
Fack's everyone's best friend, isn't he? He's that dude. He's everyone's best friend.
I do, and I love the character, man. He's definitely the comic relief of the show, but I think he's important. He ties a lot of shit together, and he's very, very intertwined with the family. Now, here's the thing: is Brizzato family or whatever it is not all of them are related. I mean, Richie's not even their fucking cousin, so you don't know but you see Fack at these family gatherings and whatnot. So what's the relation here? You know, or
they literally have that conversation in Fishes. It's great.
Right, so we're gonna get.
How
into
are you
that.
related? By friendship. Me too. No, not like me. Like, basically, that's about how it goes down when they actually talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have to get into the fine print of that whole that whole realm of
the whole relationship, dude. Yeah,
relation by friendship. Yeah, relation by friendship, is that a thing? I think so, actually. But hey, man, keep that on the fucking back burner.
Fucking facts, dude. No fucking facts. I wish I knew some fucking facts, dude. They seem all right, dude. From Big Neil on down.
You know, and I especially love him because he is an executive producer of the show, and he's the only chef, like real chef on the show.
And
but he doesn't actually, cook. And I love it that he's
final episode, right? Like, that's like a minor prediction. Like, fact, we don't see him cook anything till the final episode. And then he's like trying to like just fry fries or something, right? Like, just doing like the most like peel potatoes, like the most basic thing, and he's like, "Oh no, dude."
Yeah. Have you? I don't know if he's involved in any of the writing or not, but he's definitely involved. Like, I know.
I think he's a consulting producer, so when it comes to some of the kitchen stuff, they probably bounce it off a little bit. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I bet you he's got a lot of life stories that come into play with some of this stuff too. Because
and he probably knows people too, right? Yeah. They probably, I'm guessing they went around, did a bunch of interviews with people who worked in kitchens to draw from the stories, that kind of thing.
And somebody's got to have an insight.
Talk to a couple hundred people who worked in kitchens, and then start picking stuff up from there, working together. They've done a great job blending it all together. So I'm
absolutely,
I'm here for all of it. I mean, obviously, we're working our way through season 2. Next up is season 6, Fishes. This is a big one. It's a long one. We're literally going to devote an entire episode towards covering it because it is worth it. It is awesome. Can't wait to talk about it. This has been the Bear Brigade, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. We're also on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Do not forget the flaps. As hard as it is to, make 7 fishes, it's relatively easy to remember the flaps, right? Like, that's it. I don't have 7 things, just one thing. Follow, like, and please subscribe. Sounds like a lot, but all we're asking is that if you had fun, you give us that thumb because it helps other people find our show. We appreciate it very much. Please and thank you. Again, thank you for checking us out. I am Magnum Mills. He's the Soupdeucer. And remember, you either fork or you get forked.
Let it rip. See you next time.